Aloha mai kako and ahoa makamaka o ka'olelo Hawai'i. Welcome to Kulāiwi. This is the 17th in a series of 24 Hawaiian language lessons. I'm Ekelakani Alpi Okroger, and I'll be your kumu for today. And today we have a very interesting vignette. We're going to the graduation party of Kunane, and we'll be learning a few more phrases. So we've learned a lot of different patterns, and you're going to hear them once again in this vignette. And so you want to pay attention not only to the words that you're hearing, but make sure that you put the words with the gestures, with the expressions, with the situation that's happening at the moment. And just sit back, relax, enjoy, okay? And I'll see you as soon as it's pau. Ahui ho.
Alo nui pehea oe.
O mai kai a oe. He mea nui ka puka ana. He hakau hana I kia manawa.
Kia kau vela, e hanana wau ma explorations ma ka mea meha. A mahopi o ke la, e hele ana wau I ke kula nui kaiapuni.
Ke kula nui kaiapuni?
Ai, ai ama wai manalo.
O vai nā kumu, he aha nā ano papa.
He mau kumu Hawai'i lako a pau, loia lako I nā kumuhana o like ole. Ki ake aka mai, ka make makika, ka pili kanaka, a pela wale aku. A e noho ana wau ma ka hale noho haumana ma o.
Hiki no, make au e hele pū.
Ai, hiki no. E, aloha ka aua.
Aloha.
Mahalo no ko hele ana mai.
E, no ka hau oli. Mai ka e ke ia pāina. Pehea, he hookani pila kau.
Ai, he pila kau e hookani pila kako.
He ka se, ka wha, ka se e hiku. Ka mai.
O e kala mai o kia ko o ana kala o kaipo. O ke la ko o hoa aloha o ke koa.
Ai,
O ke la o ke ave. Ua hele pū maua o ke ave I ka punana leo. A ka ua ne'e oia I Maui a ua noho wau ma Honolulu nei.
Ah, no leila, ua pukapu oi kia makahiki.
Ai, mai ke kula kaya puni o paia.
E, mai ka ike la. Hele pu ana oi, ke kula nui me kunane.
Ai, noho puana mau I ka hale noho haumana.
Ah, we, he nui no ka lea lea.
Ai,
E, ua lava paha ka wala au. Kani ka pila kako.
ai, o wai ke mele.
Ah, pehea o kuuhoa.
Ai, hiki no. Pehea oko?
Ah, oia mau no. Ah, no maluhi luhi ki keiki. No ka mea ua au kai oia I ka iara.
Oia, ka laki no oko. Ai hea kona kai kaina o lei ohu.
Ah, hele mea na oia mahape me kana ipo.
Oia,
Ai, he kane olu oia no hono ka amai. Ah, oi kone ino? E, mama, oi kone ino?
Oi?
O kale ohu ipo.
Malu lani kone ino.
oh.
Pololi oi?
E ai, E ai o ko, ai ka mea inu ma'o, ai ka mea ai mahopi o ka hale. Ono loa ka lu au he'e, ua hana o tutu.
O ia. O, mahalo e ike ana mākou ia oi.
Ai, hiki no. Aloha e tutu.
Aloha e kunane, e noho pu mea u. Make au e kamailia me oi. Pehea, ua lawa ka mea ai.
Ai, ua lava pono no. E mahalo nui e tutu.
No kia,
No kia pa'ina.
e kunane. Aloha nui au ia oi. O oi, ku umo o puna mua i puka mai ke kula kaya puni. Haaheo lo au ia oi. A o oi, ka mea kokua nui iau e malama ia pua lei lau o ke alohi. Mahalo nui au ia oi.
Oh, so sweet, yeah. Okay, well, hopefully you understood the idea that was going on there. But if not, like I said, we get to see this vignette 4 times, and hopefully by the 4th time, yeah, on next lesson, we'll be able to get it down and understand everything that's going on. So let's start with some vocab that you heard in there, okay? The first being apelaku, apelaku. Okay, and this means and so forth, like etc., etc., etc. Okay, pelaku and so forth. Okay, to swim. Okay, to swim. Perhaps you hear the word, you know, like you heard growing up. Go okay, go and that means go bathe. But in this case, it's actually to swim, okay? And I think I spoke about this before, that if you don't say the word au right, you know, for I, and you say au, then you end up with swim. So even just one au is swim. So au, a reduplication of the word, more swimming, okay? No, it just means swim. Au kai, to say that you swam where? In the kai, in the ocean, versus au vai, swimming in fresh water, okay? You know. Kahale noho haumana. Kahale noho haumana. Okay, this is kind of a long word, but if you take a look at what it says, yeah, take the pieces of it, I think it'll make sense to you. Okay, so I give you a chance to think about this. Kahale noho haumana. Okay, so the house where students live, a dorm. Okay, another word for dorm, another word for dorm. The Hawaiian word for dorm, thank you. Kahale noho haumana. Okay, haumana means student, right? And noho meaning to live or to reside, okay? So a house where students reside, kahale noho haumana, a dorm. So those of you who go to UH, maybe you live in kahale noho haumana o Johnson, kahale noho haumana o Freer, okay? Or kahale noho haumana o Noelani, all right? So like that, that's the dorm. Hikino, onwards to our next word, and that's kama'ilio. Kama'ilio, conversation, okay, or to converse, okay, kama'ilio. Kamake makika, if you look at it, you probably think, oh, that means to kill mosquitoes. Okay, no, it doesn't mean to kill mosquitoes. It's the word for mathematics, okay, see it? Matematika, makika, okay. Kamake makika, the math class. Kapili Kanaka, these are subject areas, yeah? Kamaki Makika math, Kapili Kanaka, social studies. How do you get that? Pili, things that relate to what? Kanaka, to humans, okay? Social studies. Hikino. Keakiakamai, this is the word for science. Perhaps you've heard the word epikema. That's another word, epikema. Okay, but keakiakamai, science. Okay, next word is kika. Kika is guitar. Okay, okay, kalamai. Vala'au, I think Anakala Kaipo says, lava ka vala'au, yeah, and I think we heard that in our other vignette too when Kunani says, lava ka vala'au, yeah, enough talk story, And so vala'au is to talk story. You know, we have a lot of words that mean to talk or to converse, and they're all different kind. Like kama'ilio is a conversation between two people. Vala'au is to just, you know, like how sisters do or brothers do when you get together. You just vala'au, okay, talk story. And then there's olelo, to actually talk. And then there's ha'i olelo, to give a speech. So all different kinds, yeah, and you cannot mix them all up. There's certain times to use different ones. Ikeia manava. Ikeia manava. We've had Ikeia po in this set of lessons, and that meant tonight. Well, Ikeia manava means now. And how do we get now out of Ikeia manava? Well, let's take a look at it. Ikeia manava, keia meaning this, manava meaning time, at this time. If it's at this time, that means it's now, okay? Ikeia manava. Say that with me. Ikeia manava. Make sure we say keia and not keia. Yeah, keia. No okina in between the A and the E, so it's keia. Maikai. This summer, Ikeia kauvela. Ikeia kauvela. This year, Ikeia makahiki. Ikeia makahiki, okay? You see how simple this is? If you wanted to say this week and the word for week is pule, yeah, how would you say this week? Ikeia pule. Hikino? See how easy that is? What if it was this month and the word for month is the same word for moon, which is mahina? Then you would say Ikeia mahina. Maikai. Okay, another time phrase. Iku'uva kamali'i. Iku'uva kamali'i. Hikino? This one is probably a little difficult, but kamali'i refers to what? Child. Right? So childhood times, iku'uva kamali'i, in my childhood times. Okay, a va is a period of time. So this va kamali'i is a childhood period of time. Okay, so in my childhood, it can even be translated loosely as when I was small, when I was little. Okay, iku'uva kamali'i. Iku'uva kamali'i. Hikino. And then our last time phrase is mahope. Okay, let's take a look at this. You may remember we used mahope as meaning behind or in back of. Yeah, but mahope it can also be used for later. Okay, later. So, in fact, I remember when growing up, I would hear people say, "Oh, mahape," yeah, for later. And I used to think, mahape, what is that? And as I learned, you know, it's just another pronunciation of mahope. Okay, we would never write mahape, but we can say it. Okay, just like some people say ma'ape instead of mahope. Okay, so. You might want to remember that, yeah, when somebody tells you they want something, and you could easily say, mahope, okay? And they'll turn around and tell you, ole ikeia manava, okay? So, see, that's why time phrases are really perfect to know, okay? Let's review the future tense pattern. Do you remember that? When we had, how do you encase your actions so that you can put it into the future tense, or you can make it happening right now and going on? Anyway, inana kako, okay? E hana anau ma explorations. E hana anau ma explorations. I think Lawae asks Kunane, what are you going to do this summer? Ya heha kauhana ikeia kauvela. Heha kauhana ikeia kauvela. And he says, E hana anau ma explorations. Right here we see what gives us, what makes it in the future, okay? We put this, yeah, whoa, okay. I don't have too much control over this pen here. All right. When we put ana around our action, we put it into what tense? Into the future tense, okay? Into something that's going to happen, all right? So in this case, I'm going to work at explorations, okay? You ever heard, some of you may be sitting there going, what is that, Explorations? Okay, Explorations is a program at Kamehameha Schools. It's a great program if you're in the 5th grade. And at the end of 5th grade, you can go into this program called Explorations. It's a 1-week boarding program at Kamehameha, and you get to learn Hawaiian culture and Hawaiian songs and Hawaiian values. And it's just a lot of fun and a lot of learning going on at the same time. Okay, let's go on to another example of using Ayana, and that's E hele ana au I ke kulanui. E hele ana au I ke kulanui. I think he says, and later, a mahope, e hele ana au I ke kulanui. Okay? And then I'm going to the university. Okay? Remember having kulanui before? Okay. E noho pū ana maua makahale noho haumana. Okay? E noho pū ana maua makahale noho haumana. So, we've had this before. We had what happens when we put pū into the sentence in back of the action, we have together, okay? So, us two, me and somebody, okay, I think this is Kunane saying, me and Kekoa are going to stay together in the dorm, okay? E noho pū ana maua makahale noho haumana. E noho pū ana maua makahale noho haumana. You see this ma, at, yeah? We're using ma for at, okay? E hele mai ana oia mahope me kunane. E hele mai ana oia mahope me kunane, okay? He's going to come when? Later with kunane. Me, remember that means with. We had this in our last lesson. Yeah, me. In this case, it's with kunane. Okay? E ike ana mako ya oi. Okay? This is when I think Nohea is leaving with her baby and her kane, and they're walking away, and she says to him, E ike ana mako ya oi. Okay? We'll be seeing you, we'll see you. Yeah, she could say, E ike ana mako ya oi mahope, we'll see you later. Okay, once again, in the future tense, ike being your action, yeah? You see, if you take out the e ana, then you have ike mako ya oi. It's still a sentence, okay? But what happens is, it doesn't tell you when this is going to happen, okay? You just say ike mako ya oi, then it says, we'll see you, okay? We'll see you. But if you want to say, we will see you, yeah, in the future, later on, we're going to see you later, e ike ana mako ya oi. Then we use the e ana. Now, in a previous lesson, I did say that once you've established the context and the time that you're talking about, you can begin to leave it off. Yeah, so you don't have to keep on repeating e something ana. Okay, you can just use the action because we've already set the stage. Now, what we haven't had is how do we say things in the past tense? Okay, we start off our sentence with ua. Okay, let's take a look. Inana kako. Ua hele maua I ka pūnana leo. Ua hele maua I ka pūnana leo. Hikino, we went, where? To the pūnana leo. Ua hele mako I ka pūnana leo. Hikino, kalamai. Ua hele maua I ka pūnana leo. So you see we put this ua in front of our action, and that puts us in the past, okay? So we went, yeah? We went to pūnana leo. Remember, that the basic thing is that in Hawaiian, the action is the most important. And so we always start off with the action, okay? And that's why we start the sentence off with hele. Then comes who's doing it. Hele maua, me and somebody else, okay? And remember that all the pronouns that end in u-a are only two people, okay? Hele maua I ka pūnana leo. So ua hele maua I ka pūnana leo, we stick that ua in front of the action. It's in the past, right? We went. Ua hele maua I ka pūnana leo. Okay, let's take a look at another la'ana, another example. Ua ne'e oia I maui. Ua ne'e oia I maui. Okay, my baby, she likes this word ne'e. I think it's because it's easy to say, yeah? Ne'e. Of course, she always wants us to be moving, that's why. He says here, he moved to Maui. Okay, he moved to Maui. Ua ne'e oia I maui. Okay, let's say something a little bit about this, and that's, remember in our last lesson we talked about ho'o in front of words, yeah? Now, ne'e is to move oneself, but if I put ho'o in front of that, ho'o ne'e, that's to cause something to move, yeah? Then that would be to move something, ho'o ne'e, okay? So that's where you gotta be real careful about which one you choose to use, because you'll look up to move, and they might give you the word ne'e and they'll give you the word ho'o ne'e, but you have to know which one you want. If you're moving yourself, yeah, that's ne'e. But if you're going to move something, ho'o ne'e. Okay? Cool, yeah? Yeah, got all these little things that you can do to words to make them more interesting, actually more applicable, yeah, because we actually here we want to say he moved to Maui. So what do we start with? We start off with the action and it's in the past, so we start with ua. Ua ne'e, and who did it? Ua ne'e oia, where? I Maui, okay? To Maui. Remember that I and ia mean to depending on what it's in front of, okay? Hikino. Let's take another look at another example. Ua noho au ma Honolulu nei. Ua noho au ma Honolulu nei. Okay? Give you a chance to think about what this is. Ua noho au ma Honolulu nei. I lived in Honolulu here, or I stayed in Honolulu. And what Kunane is talking about is ua ne'e oia I Maui. He went to Maui. He moved to Maui, and ua noho au ma Honolulu nei. Okay? Now, let's talk about the word nei. Okay? Some of us like to use nei because it sounds so Hawaiian, so we say things like, oh, in Honolulu nei or hilo nei, okay? But you have to know when to use it. You can only put nei in the back of the place when you're talking about when you're there, okay? So I cannot say, oh yeah, noho wau ma hilo nei, and I'm in Honolulu, okay? You have to be in the place to say nei, because nei gives you the mana'o of here, okay? So Honolulu here. Ma Honolulu nei, okay? Ua noho au ma Kauai nei. Well, that means I would have to be in Kauai to say that, okay? Nei. Of course, you leave it out, yeah, and then you don't have to worry at all, okay? But this, of course, is one of those things that makes you sound like you really know how to speak Hawaiian, okay? And you just stick this in, and after your place name, if you're in that place, okay? So if you wanted to say something like, I live in Kalihi, and you're standing in Kalihi, yeah? Noho wau ma Kalihi nei. Okay, you get the idea. Lava. Okay? Ua puka pu oi. Ua puka pu oi, okay? You graduated also. Remember that? He's not saying you are also a whole, okay? That's not what it's saying. It's saying you also graduated, okay? Ua puka pu oi. Okay, I think actually that was a question. Ua puka pu oi, did you graduate too? Okay. Ua au au kai mako. Ua au au kai mako. It says, we, what? We had this word up in the new vocab. We swam, mai kai. Ua hana o tutu. Ua hana o tutu. Yeah? Tutu made it in this case. Okay, somebody says, who made the food? Or who prepared the food, and Kunani says, oh, ua hana o tutu. Ua hana o tutu. Hikino? And remember that when we're using someone's name, and that's the subject of the sentence, that's who did it, then we're going to mark it with this o, okina o, okay? And it's a little word about okina, so that you can remember how okina are written. They're written like little sixes, okay? Or they're written in the shape of the C. They're not umlauts, they're not accents, so you don't just slash them, There's a certain way to write your okina, and maybe I'm just real sticky about that, but I always think that if you're going to write it down, then we should write it properly, okay? And that's why we make sure that we find a way to put in all of our kahako and our okina when we're showing you this, and not tell you, oh, there's supposed to be a kahako on top there. Next one, ua lava ka mea ai. Now this, we're seeing ua being used with a stative verb, okay? Once again, what are stative verbs? Stative verbs, it tells you how something how something is, okay? In this case, it's saying that the food is enough, okay? And I think actually Tutu asks Kunane, ua lava ka mea ai? And he says, ai ua lava no, okay? She says, oh, was there enough food? Ua lava ka mea ai? Okay, so there should be a question mark. Ua lava ka mea ai? Okay, and he says, ai ua lava ka mea ai? Yeah, there's enough food, okay? So you see now, you may be wondering, well, why would you have an ua in front of that kind of verb? Because in Hawaiian, these kinds of words like enough, good, maikai are verbs, okay? And so what tense are they in? They're completed actions, okay? The food is enough, okay? It's not enoughing, it's not will be enough, it's enough. So it's completed action. Ua lava, kamea ai, okay? Let's take another look at another la'ana, another example. Ua mai ka'i ke keiki. Ua mai ka'i ke keiki, okay? The child is what? Fine, okay? Ua mai ka'i ke keiki. Ikino, okay? So what I really want you to understand is that ua puts things in the past, or ua shows completed action, okay? So in this case, the child is fine. Yeah, it could mean the child was fine, but probably within the context of your conversation, you know, you can understand whether it was, is, or was, okay? Ikino. Ua pau ka'uhana. Ua pau ka'uhana. My work is pau. Okay? Now we're going to go into a different pattern, and this pattern is called equationals, which means that one side of the sentence is same as the other side. Okay? So we'll take a quick look at this. This is when Kunani is introducing his uncle to everyone, and he says, O ko'u anakala keia. You see? O ko'u anakala keia. Anakala, another word for uncle. Maybe we should talk about that. We don't really have a word for uncle in Hawaiian. There's not that kind of relationship in a Hawaiian family, okay? And you may be thinking, what do you mean there's not that kind of relationship in a Hawaiian family? We all have uncles. Okay, well now we call them uncle. But in the past, ikawa kahiko, yeah, a long time ago, your father's brother or your mother's brother, your uncles, what we call them now, were really considered your makuakane, your father. All of that line, your parents' lines, were parents, were makua to you. And so there wasn't the distinction between uncle and father, okay, or auntie and mother. The makua is parent, and that parent line would be considered all your uncles, all your aunties would be makua, okay? So that's why we have a word that sounds real English, like anakala and anake for auntie or uncle, okay? And I just wanted to mention that in case you were wondering, okay? O ko'u anakala keia. This is my uncle, inana kako. Okay, this is my uncle, o ko'u anakala keia. And you can always switch it around, o keia, ku'u mau ho'aloha, okay? Once again, here we have the word ku'u meaning my. And remember that we use ku'u for things that we have affection for, yeah? O keia ku'u mau ho'aloha. These are my friends, okay? We don't make the this part plural because this part is the plural part. What is this mo in here? This is how we make the noun plural, okay? Mau. Mo makes things plural without giving meaning. Now you may be thinking, well, what happened to that, to na? Remember I taught you na is the word for the when we want to make something plural. That's it. Na means the. It has meaning, where mo doesn't have meaning, okay? It's called the pluralizer, okay? Kind of like the Terminator. This is the pluralizer, okay? It goes in and it kind of like adds an S to the noun, okay? So instead of having ku'u ho'aloha, my friend, we have ku'u mau ho'aloha, my friends, okay? So you introduce your friends, you go, o keia ku'u mau ho'aloha, okay? These are my friends. Hikino. O keave ku'u ho'aloha. O keave ku'u ho'aloha. Okay, what is this? Keave is my friend. Okay, and you see why they're called equational? Because this is the same as this. Who's keave? Oh, he's my friend. Who's your friend? Keave. Okay, it's the same. Okay, keave o keave ku'u ho'aloha. And these kinds of sentences always start with okina o. Okay. Okay. Our last one, is this our last one? Yeah. O oi ku'u mo'opuna mua. This is when Tutu is telling Kunane all these things that he is, you know. O oi ku'u mo'opuna mua. You are my first Yeah, mua meaning first, my first mo'opuna, my first grandchild, okay? O'oi kamea kokua nui. That's another thing that she says to him. O'oi kamea kokua nui. You are the big helper. You are the greatest help to me. Okay, so these are different things, and you want to listen to that last part between Tutu and Kunane, because there they have a conversation with each other, and she's using a lot of this pattern. So junky when you have to tear apart their conversation and talk about it in terms of patterns, but listen for that. Listen to what she's saying, because she uses these lines. O'oi ku'umo'opuna mua I puka mai ke kula kaiapuni. O'oi ka mea kokua nui ia'u e mālama ia ke alohi me pualei. Yeah? And you know, sometimes we may not get the whole sentence, the whole conversation, but that's not what's important. What's important as far as, you may not get it as far as being able to say it back, but what you may get is the ability to comprehend what's being said. And that is always the first step in learning a language. It's that ability to understand what's going on, okay? Last one, okay? Owai kemele, owai kemele. This is an example of a question using the equational. What song, okay? What song? Owai kemele. Owai ko'inoa. This is the very first equational sentence that you learn, okay? What's your name? What's your name? Okay. O ekela ko'uinoa. Owai ko'inoa. O ekela ko'uinoa. My name is Ekela. Okay. Hikino. So just to make sure that we got all of this down, let's take a look at our vignette again and see how much more you understand. Oh, and I hope you understand a lot more after we went through this. Okay. Remember that you want to know everything. Of course, we all want to know everything that's going on in the vignette. But like anything else, you're going to, when you put yourself into a situation where everybody's speaking Hawaiian, you won't understand everything. But if you follow along with Kulāiwi and you start to listen to the lessons and start to understand words and patterns, and that's the key, is listening for the patterns, everything becomes clearer and clearer. And you'll get better and better, and pretty soon you'll be able to speak, okay? So, lava kavala'au, let's take a look at our vignette, okay? We hope.
Mahalo nui, pehea oe.
O mai kai a oi, he mea nui ka puka ana. He hakau hana I kia manawa.
Kia kauwela, e hanana wau ma explorations ma ka mea meha, a mahopi o ke la, e hele ana wau I ke kula nui kaiapuni.
Ke kula nui kaiapuni?
Ai ma wai manalo.
O vai nā kumu, he aha nā ano papa.
He mau kumu Hawai'i lako a pau, loia lako I nā kumuhana o like ole, ki ake aka mai, ka make makika, ka pili kanaka, a pela wale aku. A e noho ana wau ma ka hale noho haumana ma o.
Hiki no, make au e hele pū.
Ai, hiki no. Aloha ka aua.
Aloha.
Mahalo no ko hele ana mai.
No ka hau oli. Mai kai ke ia pāina. Pehea he ho'okani pila kau.
Ai, he pila kau e ho'okani pila kako.
He ka se, ka wha, ka se e hiku. Ka mai.
O e kala mai o kia ko o ana kala o kaipo. O ke la ko o hoa aloha o ke koa.
Ai,
O ke la o ke ave. Ua hele pū maua o ke ave I ka punana leo. A ka ua ne'e oia I Maui a ua noho wau ma Honolulu nei.
No leila, ua pukapu oi ki ia makahiki.
Ai, mai ke kula kaiapuni o Paia.
Mai kai ke la. Hele pu ana oi ke kula nui me kunane.
Ai, noho puana mau I ka hale noho haumana.
We, he nui no ka lea lea.
Ai.
Ua lava paha ka wala au. Kani ka pila kako.
Ai, o wai ke mele.
Pehea o ku'uhoa.
Ai, hiki no.
Mai loa.
E, mahalo. Pea oko?
Oia mau no. No maluhi ki keiki. No ka mea ua au kai oia I ka ia la.
Oia, ka laki no oko. Ai hea kona kai kaina o lei ohu.
Hele mea na oia mahape me kana ipo.
Oia,
He kane olu oia no hono ka amai. Oi kone ino? Mama, oi kone ino?
Oi?
O kale ohu ipo.
Malu lani kone ino. Pololi oi?
e ai oko, ai ka mea inu mao, ai ka mea ai mahopi o ka hale. Ono loa ka lu au hee, ua hana o tutu.
Oia. Mahalo e ike ana mako ia oi.
Ai, hiki no. Aloha e tutu.
Aloha e kunane, e noho pu mea u. Make au e kamailia me oi. Pehea, ua lawa ka mea ai.
Ai, ua lava pono no. E mahalo nui e tutu.
No kia.
No kia paina.
E kunane, aloha nui au ia oi. O oe, ku umo o puna mua I puka mai ke kula kaya puni. Haaheo loa au ia oi. A o oe, ka mea kokua nui iau e malama ia pua lei lau o ke alohi. Mahalo nui au ia oi.
Hiki no. Don't forget, this is not the last time you'll see that vignette. We'll see it again in our next lesson, and when we clear up some other patterns that maybe you're still confused about, but aole pilikia, stick with us. And na kia koe ho'opo mai ka ia o ko apau. Ahui ho, aloha.